What's the guarantee? Eric?
Mike, time to make history.
Players in Circa Million make 5 picks against the spread each week with quarterly and full season payouts.
Circa Survivor entries choose one team each week with no point spread. The last one standing wins it all.
We have $21 million on the line. Are you in? Visit circasports.com for details.
We recommend listening to the CW Pod with a glass of Steeple Ridge Bourbon. Grown, distilled, well-rested, and bottled in Erling, Iowa. Now from the Channel Seed Studios, this is the CW Pod, fueled by Steeple Ridge.
What up? Welcome to this week's CW Pod here on Iowa Everywhere. We are presented as always by our friends at Steeple Ridge Bourbon. Try the Black Label if you could find that. And I also, one of my friends, neighbors of mine, they went on a trip out west and they brought me back a bottle of this whiskey from Wyoming as a gift. Everybody likes that gift. That's a great gift. And a bottle of Steeple Ridge Bourbon makes a great gift for a birthday, anniversary, anything like that. So remember my friend Pat and his family and their support of what we are doing here at Iowa Everywhere. Been down at the Lake of the Ozarks thinking a lot. This is what I do. I like to give you guys this show because it's just into my crazy mind that just never stops. And I'll sit on these like docks and I'm out in the boat and I just think about things and I think too deeply about it and yada, yada, yada. And then I just want to like vomit it all out here for you today on the CW Pod. I was thinking about this very topic because there's a lot of challenges to media and how we all consume it in sports media specifically in 2025. But I was like, Chris, what is the biggest challenge? The biggest one facing media in 2025? Because there's a lot of different ways I could go with this. The ownership structure is massive, right? Where you just have a handful of companies that own everything. It's all about shareholders. You have bosses who don't know their employees. But then I thought about it, and I'm like, that's the case for all sorts of industries. That's not just a media thing. That is, there's so many people listening to this right now. We're like, yeah, I can relate to that. A couple other ways I could go, but I narrowed it down to this. And the number one challenge facing media in 2025 is the fracturing of the audience because niche, hell you say it, is everything. So I go back to, we'll go way back to like when the Des Moines Register published its Big Peach Sunday sports page, which is iconic. If you ever picked up a Big Peach, it was like a special experience every week when you picked that bad boy up. Some of the greatest sports writers in the history of our state, and they're all covering everything. The Register sports page was incredible. I even think back to when I started at KXNO, which would have been not that long ago, really. 2015. 16? 15, whatever. Like Ross Peterson and I would do 3 hours. And we would cover everything from Iowa State to the Cubs to the NBA Finals to anything like the Des Moines Menace. We covered it all, and that's just what you did. That's what sports talk radio does. You even like the national guys right now. I mean the amount of like national sports college or talk show hosts, it's really slim compared to what the days. And I think it all comes down to the fracturing of the audience because I'm going to give you a real life example. I don't hide. I'm a huge auto racing fan, right? That is my passion. If I have any free time, I'm watching a race, I'm going to a race, I'm reading about auto sport, like that's my passion. And that is really chipped into how much Major League Baseball I consume. And how much of I used to watch the NBA playoffs. Like, I was a huge NBA playoffs fan. Not that long ago, where I would bet on the games. Like, I really would be locked into it. Well, the problem is for me now, I can watch these dirt races, like these national dirt late model series and the World of Outlaw sprint cars. I can watch them every night of the week, from Flow, Dirt Vision. There's all the, like, even my buddies, like the SLMR series, like Charging Charlie McKenna and Jason Haney and those guys, these local guys, I can watch their races. In some cases, I got to pay $20, but okay, they're racing in Norfolk, Nebraska. I'll pay $25. I'm not going to drive there. I don't have time to do that, but I can watch it on my TV. So time I'm spending now watching these races on in the back. I used to have the Braves on, right? I used to have. I used to be watching the Bucks and the Bulls. I don't do it anymore because we can all choose, and it makes it particularly challenging when you're trying to put out a product that's sports media driven in 2025. Like the old Jim Rome show. I remember when I was a kid and I would go golfing right at 11 o'clock because my grandmother's golf cart that I used had a AM/FM radio in it, and I could just get the Jim Rome show. I believe it was 810 out of Kansas City, and I could just get it. That was the only. And I would play my golf rounds around so I could listen to Rome. And back in those days, like, I kind of depended on Rome to tell me what I should be interested in sports. Oh, Rome's talking about the Lakers. Rome's talking about NFL free agency, right? And I would just, that's it. That's because I didn't have the internet. Because I couldn't just go and seek out Formula One news or Iowa State football recruiting news or whatever else you're interested in. I just kind of, I like this Rome guy. I like his personality. He's funny to me. He entertains me. If he thinks it's interesting, then so do I. Yeah, it doesn't work like that anymore. Wife and I were driving back from the Ozarks yesterday. We're doing this Ireland trip. We listened to like 4 podcasts about vacationing in Ireland. That's time that somebody else used to spend listening to the AM/FM radio between Osage Beach, Missouri, and Des Moines. So you see, like, I'm trying to paint this picture for you why it's difficult for these traditional media companies to exist anymore. It's not only that they have major business from an advertising standpoint of, like, there's all these other options as far as, like, ways for people to spend their money, because that is true, right? And this was true for, like, when everybody said that TV was going to kill radio. It didn't. I'm not saying the radio's dying, and I don't think the internet's going to kill TV. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying it's much more challenging, because when you pick up a sports page now, like the actual physical newspaper, most people don't read most of it. They just go to what they want. And I would love to know in the 80s, I think there were more people in the 80s who would pick up the sports page and read it from cover to cover. I did. Because I wanted to know what I should be interested in. What is big? Well, now we have so much damn information at our fingertips that I know what I'm interested in, and I'm not going to pay attention to it if I'm not. Like, this is why I think Drake in Northern Iowa have a hard time in this state these days. There's just fewer Iowa and Iowa State fans that are going to seek out Drake stuff because, well, they're a team in Iowa. No, I'm passionate about my team. Like, I'm a Minnesota Vikings fan. I don't care to read about the New York Giants. The Athletic is a great example of a company that I think is doing about as good as you can. When you have a subscription to The Athletic, it's like a giant sports page. Okay? It's this massive sports page. But it allows you to customize it. And ESPN, and they've always kind of done this, but The Athletic does it with its algorithm where it puts, when I pull up my iPad, every night I do this, it's part of my prep for the next day, and it serves me what it thinks I need and want to know. Which is where I'm going to get to YouTube here in just a minute. As we continue this conversation, I do want to thank our friends at Circus Sports Iowa. I just got signed up for Millions. I would encourage you guys, if you're going to be in Vegas, to be able to do that. It's so much fun. Like, I will make trips to Vegas in July every year for the rest of my life to get into the Circa Millions competition. It's so much fun. I love making the 5 picks. Me and my buddy Jason Luch do it together. Never won any money yet, but that's coming, baby. We're going to win it big at some point. So thank you to our friends out at Circa. Had a wonderful time out there a couple weeks ago. I can't wait to get back. No, so I'm talking about, the fractured state. And it's just, I think that our minds have changed so much. We have so much of this ADHD thing going on where we only care about what we care about. And we live in this world where I just remember when I started in this business, it was like, well, you have your beat and there's like 5, everybody's going to have a couple of beats, and then there's like 40 different beats on the paper, and we put it all together, and it's this massive piece of information. Well, the problem, again, is most people don't care about most of it, right? And now they can get what they do care about much more in depth. You got these bloggers and these podcasters going a mile deep on these super niche topics where it makes it really difficult to survive if you're going 2 inches deep in that world. I want to use YouTube as another example. So this is not investment advice. I don't do that. You'd all be broke. I think Google in the next 10 years, who owns YouTube, is going to be a massive player. This isn't a hot take. Like, come on. But in more media than just like going to YouTube TV, or I'm not even talking about like sports rights. Hear me out. So back when we started Cyclone Fanatic, nobody took us seriously. Nobody wanted anything to do with us. We weren't legitimate. We weren't owned by a big company, so it was harder to get press credentials, even though it was my full-time job, even though we covered the team closer than anybody. Nobody wanted to touch us because of all those challenges that we were up against. And we even saw that when you tried to make like a YouTube page or start a podcast feed. You have so many disadvantages because you're small and you're independent, and people just don't take you seriously. Now, as a content creator, it's what I do. You have the YouTubes, Spotify's, and TikToks of the world literally at war trying to get guys like me. Because what's happening is, because of the challenge that I laid out, the niche thing, right? That because of that challenge, more and more guys like me have left where we used to be. Because we used to have to, you either had to pay for time on the radio or on television or whatever, or you had to be hired by a newspaper, radio, or television station. And that's the only way that you could do what you do. And then you had to go and sell your advertising, and those are the only 2 ways. Well, now, the click of a button, I use this thing called StreamYard, and I can spit this out to 15 different things, and 50,000 of you are going to have access to it. At the click of a button. I could be out at the Iowa Speedway this weekend in my camper, boom, connected to my cell phone, go live to all of you. And the audience now doesn't necessarily expect this polished, like perfect production. We try and be pretty professional. That's why we have Murph and Hassel. Keep us going in that direction, baby. But you guys don't freak out if we're not, because you want the authenticity. You want the reality. You want to know that I'm drinking the same tap water you are. right? And so you've got YouTube, you've got Spotify, you've got Meta, to a lesser extent. They're in this whole other different planet. And TikTok in a weird little Chinese place that I don't exactly know where they fit in, but they're here. They're a huge player in this world. And they're begging for guys like us to be putting our products on their platforms because they see what's happening. And they see in the next 5 to 10 years, unless there's a massive change, this independent, real personality-driven content. Now, you still have to do the work, right? You still have to do the work. I think the misconception out there is that you just, I'm going to start a podcast, going to make a ton of money. No, it's hard. And it changes every day. But, I mean, man, this keeps fracturing and fracturing and fracturing. And I found myself, I was sitting in the boat yesterday. I'm like, will there ever, because a lot of times things ebb and flow, right? Like physical media is coming back. Like nobody ever thought like record players would be a big deal again. And here they are. My daughter is 10 and asked for records for her birthday, which I think is really freaking cool. Will there be a day again when the sports media consumer is not so niche? I don't know. But I look at this the way I look at politics. I think everything is so tribal now. Where it's like I believe that 80% of our country is pretty much in the middle, leaning one way or the other. But do I truly believe we'll ever kick out of that? Where I think every election we're going to have for the next 50 years is going to be damn close to 50-50 on the popular vote. I really do. I really do. I don't have enough faith because we're all in our echo chambers, right? Like if you're a Republican, you listen to this guy. If you're a Democrat, you listen to that gal. Like it. So it's like, do I think that an Iowa football fan is now really wanting the inside scoop on the Cyclones? There might be 20% of them that are just big enough sports fans that do. But I bet they're all over 65 years old. Honestly, I'm not. I just think we've all changed so much. And again, like me with the Vikings, it's probably my favorite team. Okay. Probably my favorite team in sports. I don't read about the Packers training camp. I mean, I might read a headline and be like, oh, how's Jordan Love look? I don't want the inside scoop on that, but I want to know. I want to know everything about who's fighting for roster spot number 53 with the Vikings. Where when I was a kid, you couldn't get that information. Now I can at the touch of a freaking cell phone. So do I think that? No, I don't. So it's like, go onto YouTube. You want to experience the best of Iowa everywhere, the best of Cyclone Fanatic, whatever you follow. Make a YouTube account, okay? And let their algorithm go to work. You will spend considerably less time watching regular TV. I promise you. My algorithm is college football, Formula One racing, a pinch of NASCAR, and some investing stuff. And it knows how to hook me. And country music. I got a lot of Grand Ole Opry served to me as well. But it knows, and you pretty much those 5 things for me, and I'm content. I really don't need anything else in my life, like for entertainment's sake. Those things do it for me. And again, I do not see a path for Americans specifically. This is probably a worldwide thing, but specifically here in this country, where all of a sudden we're going to pick up the New York Times and read every section front to back like the old. People know what they like where they didn't know any better back then, and now they make decisions based off of that. And sometimes they're not even making the decisions because AI is serving them what they think they will like. So again, that's a long 20-minute way of telling you what I think is the biggest challenge facing media today. And we see it here at Iowa everywhere too. Like, you guys need to know, when we program this network, it's not every show is for everyone. I want you to listen to them all. I know you won't. Most of you won't. They're overthinking is and happy hour are created for a different audience than bigger than 12. Right? And that's okay. That's why we do it the way that we do it. But yeah, I can't imagine there's a huge crossover from bigger and 12 to legends and listeners. I hope there is. If there's 10,000 people that listen to those shows, there's more than that, but whatever. We're just using a round number here. I would guess 15 to 20% of those people listen to both. The rest, no, I'm a Hawk Big 10 guy, or I'm a clone Big 12 guy. There's going to be a guy like Hassel and me who listen to both. Now, we do it because we have interest in this company. But I know Hassel. Hassel would listen to both if he was just doing his job. And so there are people like that. It's just there's a hell of a lot fewer of them than there used to be. There you go, my bloviating here on this Thursday, the 31st of July. I've been thinking about that for a long time. Any comments, thoughts, send them my way, at Chris M. Williams on the X. Follow the YouTube page. I'm telling you, create your own YouTube channel. You want to spend less time watching garbage? Create your own YouTube feed. It will feed you everything you need. That's why I'm so bullish on Google in the next 10 years. It's like they have it figured out as far as, what people want and how they want it served. Go buy a bottle of Steeple Ridge Bourbon. Give it as a gift. I would encourage you to do that. Thank my buddy Pat Hoffman. I love my friends at Channel Seed, doing an event for them coming up next week. Looking forward to that. This week's CW Pod here on Iowa Everywhere.